On a bright, cold afternoon, when the winter sun cast pale golden light across the concrete pillars of an old highway bridge, something heartbreaking unfolded, something so cruel and unexpected that it could shatter even the strongest heart. It began with an elderly man named Daniel Reed, 71 years old, a Marine Corps veteran with silver hair and trembling hands that once held rifles in Vietnam. If this story moves you, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Daniel hadn't always lived beneath this bridge. 6 months ago, he had an apartment, a routine, a life. But cancer took his wife, medical bills took their savings, and the streets became his only home. Even after losing everything, Daniel kept one ritual alive. Every Tuesday, he walked to Rosie's Diner, the red-trimmed restaurant where he and his wife had shared coffee for 40 years. He couldn't afford to eat there anymore, but he would sit on the curb outside, close his eyes, and remember her laugh. It was the only place where memories felt real instead of painful. On this Tuesday, Daniel sat on that curb with his duffel bag, reading a water-stained paperback. His lips moved silently, lost in a story that took him somewhere better. The sun slanted across his weathered face, and for a moment, he looked almost peaceful. That's when they arrived. 4 young men climbed out of a truck with smartphones recording. The leader was Cody Marsh, with bleached hair, designer sneakers, and a smirk that only comes from never having suffered. Cody ran a TikTok account with 2 million followers who watched him humiliate homeless people, calling it social experiments, while sponsorship money rolled in. "Yo, check this out," Cody announced, his phone aimed at Daniel. "We got a homeless dude. Hey old man, you famous yet?" Daniel looked up slowly. "I'm just reading, son. Please move along." "Son." Cody laughed. "Dude thinks he's somebody." He grabbed Daniel's book and tossed it into a puddle. "What else you got?" Before Daniel could react, Cody snatched the duffel bag, dumping its contents onto the sidewalk while his friends filmed. Out tumbled Daniel's entire life, clothes, a framed photograph of his wife, and a Purple Heart medal in a velvet case. His brothers. He died at Khe Sanh. "Oh man, we got a war hero." Cody held up the medal mockingly, tossing it to a friend. They played keep away while Daniel tried to reach for it, his movements slow and unsteady. "That was my brother's. He died for this country. Please." "Maybe he should have tried harder," one said. They laughed harder. Cars passed. People walked by with shopping bags. A woman glanced over, then looked away. A man slowed, hesitated, kept walking. No one stepped in. The cruelty continued in broad daylight, witnessed but unchallenged. Then Cody shoved Daniel's shoulder. His balance gave way. He fell hard onto concrete, his palms scraping against rough surface, the framed photograph sliding and cracking against the curb. Daniel lay there stunned, hands bleeding slightly, staring at his wife's broken photograph just out of reach. He tried to push himself up but his arms shook too much. The teens kept filming, laughing. Daniel's face showed something worse than pain. The quiet devastation of a man realizing he'd become invisible, disposable, less than human. That's when the rumble began. At first distant, just a low vibration. But it grew louder, deeper, more purposeful. The rumble became a roar, and 9 motorcycles appeared, engines throttling down as they rolled into the parking lot in V formation. The riders dismounted slowly. They wore leather vests reading, "Iron Brotherhood MC, Veterans Riding Club." These weren't weekend riders. These were soldiers who found that Brotherhood was the only thing that still made sense. The man at front was massive, 6'4" with a gray beard and military tattoos. His vest read, "Frost." People in town whispered about Frost, about the dozens he'd helped, the hundreds he'd fought for. He was gentle until something challenged his sense of justice. Then he became something else. Frost had known Daniel. He'd brought him food, checked on him, made sure he survived cold nights. And now he saw what was happening. The moment Frost's boots hit pavement, the world felt heavier. He didn't run or shout. He simply walked toward the scene, his shadow falling over Cody like a storm cloud. The other bikers fanned out behind him, forming a wall. Cody's smirk flickered. "Yo, you want to be in the video too?" Frost didn't answer. He walked past Cody as if he didn't exist, crouched beside Daniel, and placed one hand gently on his back. "I got you, brother." With surprising tenderness, Frost helped Daniel sit up, then carefully picked up the cracked photograph as though it were made of glass and gold. He wiped the dust away before placing it in Daniel's trembling hands. Then he stood slowly and turned to face Cody. The silence between them was louder than any threat. A female biker named Kira knelt beside Daniel. She helped him stand, let him lean on her strength. She picked up the Purple Heart, cleaned it with her vest, and pressed it into Daniel's palm, closing his fingers around it gently. Frost finally spoke, his voice low and steady. "Cody Marsh. I know who you are. I've seen your videos." "Yeah. So what? So you're going to delete that video? Right now? All of you? And then you're going to apologize to this man? Or what? Or I post your names to every veteran organization in the state. And we see how brave you feel when 10,000 soldiers come looking for kids who mock them." The parking lot fell silent. The 4 teens looked at 9 bikers, looked at their phones, looked at each other. Slowly, hands shaking, they deleted the videos. Then they mumbled apologies. "Louder," Frost said. "So he can hear you mean it." They apologized again, clearer, shame flooding their faces. Then they walked away, their cruelty dissolving under the weight of real strength. Frost turned back to Daniel, who stood with Kira's support, tears streaming down his face. "You okay to walk?" Daniel nodded, unable to speak. "Good. You're coming inside with us. We're buying you lunch." The Iron Brotherhood walked Daniel into Rosie's diner. The staff came forward with warm coffee and menus. Kira sat beside Daniel, hand on his shoulder. Frost sat across, and the rest filled nearby booths, creating a protective circle. Daniel tried to protest, said he couldn't pay, but Frost waved it off. "Today, you're not paying. Today, you're remembering you're still somebody." They stayed 2 hours. Daniel talked about his wife, showed them the cracked photograph, told them about his brother's last letter from Vietnam. The bikers listened like every word mattered. When Daniel's hands shook from exhaustion, Frost ordered soup, made sure he ate slowly, made sure he knew he was safe. Before they left, Frost pressed a card into Daniel's hand with a phone number. "Call this any time. Day or night. You need food, shelter, someone to talk to, you call. We take care of our own. You're ours now." Daniel looked up at this man who'd stopped everything to defend a stranger, and he felt something he hadn't felt in months. He felt seen. Protected. Like he still mattered. As the motorcycles rumbled away into the golden afternoon, Daniel stood outside Rosie's holding his brother's Purple Heart, the cracked photo of his wife, and a phone number that meant he wasn't alone anymore. If this story touched you, please share it. Comment with one kind thing you wish someone would say to a veteran today. Remember, real strength isn't about followers or cameras. Real strength is knowing when to stand up for those who can't stand. Because we all end up on that curb eventually. And the only thing that matters is who stops to help us up.